We just made a new piece of fancy software that's going to change the world, as long as we can spread it to everyone. How about we publish it under a GNU license? GNU. Capital G, capital N, capital U. GNU. The engineering word of the day today is an acronym, specifically the kind of acronym that is not super descriptive of what it is directly. So if you look it up, you can Google the acronym. GNU, G-N-U, it stands for officially GNU's Not Unix. GNU's Not Unix. So it says what it's not. GNU is not the operating system we know as Unix. But what is it then? What is it? I've been hearing and seeing this word, this acronym GNU, for a long time. And most recently, I heard it said in the podcast called Command Line Heroes from Red Hat, but it's hosted by Saron Yitbarek, and she explains in the first episode the OS wars, the operating system wars, and she talks about how Apple and Windows were going against each other, these mega giant corporate entities trying to create software to take over all the computers around the world. And not only Windows and Macs or Apple were in play here, but then you also had this third class of people who did not try to restrict software according to licenses and proprietary rights and all this stuff. For example, today Windows doesn't want people decompiling all their software and modifying it too much and reselling it. Apple doesn't want you downloading all of their Mac software and reconfiguring it and reselling it to other people after you've made changes. No, not at all. They want the rights to their own stuff because they created it. They're maintaining it. Well, GNU was out there back in the 80s as well. And as you can hear in that other awesome podcast episode, they played a role because they were taking the tack of they wanted to create GNU, this other operating system, this collection of software for computers that would be open, that would be free. And if you read up about it, they don't mean free in the sense of pay no money for it. The cool phrase that they often use is they mean free in terms of free speech, not free beer. Free speech, not free beer. Meaning, we aren't just giving you the software for free, but you can do what you want to that software freely. There are 4 points that the GNU Foundation emphasizes when it talks about free software. It's talking about GNU and other free software as giving people the right to run the program however you want, the freedom to study how it works. You can crack open the code, reverse engineer it, learn from it, do whatever you want from it. You can redistribute it. You can give it to your classmate, to your coworker. And mind you, Microsoft does not want you just taking their software and giving it to other people. And then also GNU says that for free software to really be free in their definition, you should be able to improve the program, change it, and release improvements to the public. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to keep it on your own computer. So behind GNU, behind this operating system, there's this whole philosophy of openness. Free speech, not free beer. That is what GNU is. It's this collection of software that has a philosophy behind it of openness. I've been pronouncing it GNU this whole time, where you pronounce the G. Let's talk about that real quick. Let's go to the linguistic side of it. So why is it pronounced like that? Well, because the person who made GNU wanted to call it that, and it stuck. A lot of other programmers and developers started calling it GNU as well. So if you've seen it written and you want to speak it and you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, do not pronounce it like the antelope-like animal that may live in other continents. It is not a new. It is capital G, capital N, capital U is not a new. It is GNU. If you say new, I'm going to think of the antelope type thing. If you say GNU, I'm going to think of that open software. If you want to teach other people about this idea of open software, it's really interesting. You might see the phrase GNU licenses, and that's because they think about this a lot, that those people who support GNU, they think about what does it really mean to have open software and have it freely redistributable and maybe even sellable you can put a price to this redistributable software. What does that really mean? And they've written down some licenses, some rules, I guess, for how you can and can't use the software, and other people might release their own software under a similar GNU license. All right, that's all I got to say this time. This is a long podcast. GNU is our engineering kind of word of the day, and I hope you learned something new. Hey, I am your host, Pius Wong. I also host another podcast called the K-12 Engineering Education Podcast, which is all about, you guessed it, teaching engineering to people of all ages, including before college. If that interests you, go check it out at k12engineering.net or subscribe on iTunes and every other podcast player. Thanks.